Hi there, friend. I'm so glad you're here. Go ahead and get comfy, maybe curl up in your favorite chair, grab a warm drink, and take a deep breath. This is a safe, gentle space. And tonight, I've got a soft little story for you. It's for everyone, no matter your age. Just a little tale to help you wind down, smile a bit, and feel like everything's going to be okay. So, let's begin, shall we? Our story starts on Maplewood Lane, a quiet little road tucked between whispering trees and sleepy cottages. The air always smells like pine needles and honey there, and if you listen closely, you can hear the wind playing with the wind chimes that hang from every porch. There's a sleepy bookstore on the corner called Fern, Feather, a bakery that always smells like cinnamon, and neighbors who wave like old friends even if you've only just met. In the tiniest stone cottage at the end of the lane lived Ellie. Ellie wasn't too young, and she wasn't too old either. Just one of those people who wore cardigans that looked like they'd been knitted by a grandmother, and always had crumbs in her pockets from oat biscuits she liked to nibble on. She lived with her fluffy grey cat, Thimble, who was usually found snoozing on the windowsill in a sunbeam. Ellie worked from home as a freelance illustrator. Her little desk faced the garden, where bluebirds often tapped on the glass like they were admiring her drawings. She had a teapot always steeping and shelves full of sketchbooks, and she spent most days sketching wildflowers or fairy cottages. Life was calm and sweet until one day, something very curious happened. It started when Ellie's favorite music playlist disappeared. Just gone. She clicked and tapped, puzzled, then smiled to herself. Probably just the internet being a little silly again, she muttered, sipping her tea. But then her email acted funny. It started sending odd messages she hadn't written, and her drawing software wouldn't open properly. Thimble meowed, sensing the shift in the air. Ellie tilted her head. That's strange. Now, don't worry, it's not a scary story. I promised you cozy, remember? But it is a story about what happens when things go a little sideways, and how unexpected kindness can make it all right again. And so, that's where our tale begins, with a few missing files, a sleepy cottage, and a curious adventure just about to bloom. It was a breezy Wednesday morning, and the air in Maplewood Lane smelled like wild roses and toast. Birds chirped softly outside as Ellie blinked at her computer screen. More files were disappearing, pictures of her artwork, her cloud-shaped invoice templates, even the little animations she'd made of Thimble dancing. Ellie didn't panic. She just wrapped a shawl around her shoulders, poured another cup of lavender tea, and opened her old notebook. Well, Thimble, she said, I believe we're being hacked. Thimble blinked slowly in agreement, then padded over to sit in her lap like a purring heat pack. Now, Ellie wasn't a tech wizard, not by a long shot. She was more the type to write grocery lists with watercolor pens. But she did have something even better than Tech Smart's lovely neighbors. So she popped on her slippers, tucked Thimble into a shoulder bag, he didn't mind one bit, and walked down to the bright blue door of the cottage next to hers. That's where Leo lived. Leo was a soft-spoken teenager who loved coding and gardening in equal measure. His room smelled like basil and always had fairy lights blinking quietly above his monitors. When Ellie explained her situation, Leo nodded thoughtfully. You might have been lightly hacked, he said, sipping his peppermint tea. But don't worry, it sounds like something simple, probably just a sneaky link or password slip. He came over that very afternoon with his laptop, some homemade scones, and a lot of patience. As the golden sun poured into Ellie's little studio, the two of them worked side by side. Leo explained things kindly, never rushing or overwhelming her. He showed her how to make stronger passwords, install cozy-looking security software with an icon that looked like a cartoon owl, and backed up all her art on a special crystal-shaped USB drive. They laughed when they found that one of the hackers had renamed one of her files to Very Important Cat Data. Leo even managed to recover her playlist, which began playing gently in the background as Thimble stretched and yawned. By sunset, the storm had passed, and Ellie's digital world felt clean and sparkly again. I think, Ellie said softly, this might be the coziest hacking experience in the history of ever. Leo chuckled. only on Maplewood Lane. The next morning dawned with soft dew on the garden leaves and a sleepy hum in the air. Ellie sat at her desk once again, but this time, everything felt lighter. Her files were safe, her art was blooming, and her heart felt warm not just because everything was fixed, but because of what she'd gained along the way. She'd made a new friend. Leo now stopped by once a week, sometimes to check on her tech, but mostly to sit in the garden with a lemon muffin and chat about small things. They talked about the names of clouds, the best type of pen nib, and how Thimble seemed to understand human speech just a little too well. Ellie even made a new picture series called Digital Daydreamstony watercolor illustrations of computers shaped like cottages and passwords hidden in jars of jam. One of her pictures went a little viral online, and she received kind notes from people all over the world who said her art made them feel calm. Ellie would smile softly at each message, her hands warm from tea, her heart full. And you know what? That little hacking hiccup, strange as it was, turned out to be a gentle nudge toward something better. Sometimes, unexpected things help us open doors we didn't know we needed. And as the stars blinked on above Maplewood Lane that night, Ellie sat on her porch with Thimble in her lap, looking up at the sky. "Everything's okay," she whispered. "Better than okay." The wind danced through the leaves. Somewhere, a wind chime sang a soft lullaby. Closing narration, gentle and warm. Thanks for spending time with me today, friend. I hope this cozy little story made you smile. If you liked it, I'd love it if you gave it a thumbs up. Maybe even subscribed for more soft, heartwarming tales like this one. Until next time, stay warm, stay kind, and remember you're never alone. There's always someone nearby with tea, tech help, or just a listening ear. Good night.